Let's talk about goals a little bit. Most of us have heard about SMART goals, maybe even smarter goals, and perhaps you set goals most years. I'm going to be honest, I'm a little bit of a goal junkie. I've been setting goals since I was about 19, and I've set goals pretty much every year since then. That's a lot of years. I've learned a few things about goal setting in that time period. One of the things I hear from a lot of people is I set goals every year. I even pay attention to make sure that I have SMART goals, but I just don't seem to do them all. I just don't seem to be getting there. What am I doing wrong? Right? What's going on with this? I'm setting goals, but I'm not really making them happen. So I want to encourage you in a couple of ways when you think about goals that you want to make sure a couple of different things. The first one is go back to the last two videos I posted. Because if your goals are not directly related to the purpose that you have for your life, the purpose of why you exist and what you think you ought to be doing in the world, it's going to be really hard for you to make that happen. If you have a goal that is really somebody else's expectation rather than your own, then you're not going to be that likely to actually make it happen, particularly at the level that you might want to. The other piece of that process is if you haven't spent some time reflecting on how things worked in the past, sometimes we tend to just move a goal to the next year with the same list of action steps, the same plan that we didn't follow last year, right? So you want to spend some time reflecting on why didn't this work last year? And if it is a goal that is connected to your purpose and that you really do want to make happen, then it might be that it's time to look at it from a different perspective. Okay? Now, that perspective, I want to encourage you to really think clearly about who you are, about your strengths and your talents and your personality when you set goals and when you write an action plan. One of my favorite things to do with people in goal setting is to let them write goals and let them write an action plan and then take a look at their results from the Clifton Strengths Finder and apply those results. Go, how are these strengths going to help you do these action plans? And a lot of times we set specific actions for us to get to our goals because that's what we think we're supposed to do rather than really thinking about what we are going to do best. So I'll give you an example of this. For many years, for most of my late 20s, 30s, and even early 40s, I set goals almost every year about exercise. And I wanted to be someone who was really disciplined at exercise. And so I would set goals that sounded like I'm going to work out 4 times a week. I'm going to do it at the same time every day. I'm going to do the same type of exercise. And that some of that varied over the years, but I always had this goal because really successful people are disciplined and they work out at the same time on the same days every week. And if I can do that, then I'll be successful at exercise. Here's something I know about myself. Discipline, the Clifton Strengths talent of discipline, is one of my lowest talent thieves. Consistency, also one of my lowest talent thieves. Those are just not things that I'm going to be super successful at doing. So here's what's interesting. About 3 years ago, I started setting goals for exercise that sounded like this. I'm going to work out 4 times a week, but I'm going to do something different every day. And I'm going to decide at the beginning of the week what I'm going to do, and I'm going to make sure people are involved in everything I do. So now my strategic strength, which loves to find holes and figure out how to make things work, looks at my calendar about a week out and goes, okay, next week I'm going to lift weights twice with my trainer on Tuesday and Thursday, but I'm also going to play pickleball on Thursday nights at my church because there are going to be some people there that I really enjoy. And I'm going to go for a walk on Saturday with a friend of mine because we both have the morning off. And so I change the time of day and the type of exercise I do every single week, but I always involve people. I always make commitments to somebody else. And I make sure that it's varied and that it fits with my schedule for that week. That's what works for me because of my strengths. Now, we can extrapolate this same concept to all of our goals. How do we really take advantage of who you are and what you're best at when you are setting goals? Look at who are you and how can we make sure that your goals and your action plans are directly related to who you are and how you work best in the world.